Happy Friday, everyone. It's Jess and Andy back here for another episode with just us today. And Jess, I feel like the marketing world is just unhinged right now. So I don't know if there's always controversy, there's always critics out there. But I don't know if it's been as unhinged as it has been lately. I feel like the unhingedness, if there's such a word of marketing, usually lives in the marketing spheres, but it's gotten a lot more mainstream lately. It's gotten like the talk of the town. So I feel like this is a good episode for us to kind of decompress. Could talk a little bit about our fire episode last week, and then also we hit that 100 episodes a few episodes ago. So what are we doing now for the podcast, and what does the future look like? So I bring you in with that, Jess. Happy Friday, and I hope your marketing brain is spinning this morning.
It is unhinged is the new trending. So
Yeah.
yes, the cultural relevancy, unhinged. It's all
You know,
there.
I kind of like it though, Jess. Like in a way, like is and again, we talk about marketing all the time. Is every piece of marketing or piece or strategy or direction for me? Absolutely not. There's some things out there I'm like, wouldn't have done that. But then I like see it play out and I'm like, okay, I kind of understand it now. And I kind of like it that there's some of this happening because we've been through the last few years, Jess, where you and I have like screamed at this podcast. Is anyone out there going to take any type of risk at all? And we've been seeing some crazy stuff lately on our marketing feeds.
Yes, yes. I mean, we talk about liquid death almost every episode as well, and going bold and taking risks. So you're right. There is an element to all of this that's super exciting, and the fact that we're talking about it, we're learning, we can use this as a test and learn opportunity. It's wonderful.
So let's first start off because we have to recap a little bit of last week's episode. I don't think we've had a good debrief on this yet, Jess. So if you didn't listen, I highly recommend you go to Apple, Spotify, LinkedIn, YouTube Live. Go and watch it. But we had Heath Miller. He is the hotel owner of Coral View Beach Resort. In fact, the fire pop-up is starting today. So we had him talk about what is going on with the fire pop-up, how it differs from Fire Festival, and the legendary Billy McFarland. As I talked through that, Jess, I think we introduced this episode, and I think we're like, okay, where are we going to go with this? Like, Fire Festival, why would someone do this again? Why would someone partner with Billy McFarland? Like, what is there to gain from this? Through the hour of talking to Heath, I was like, you know what? I kind of get it. Like, I'm kind of like getting it more and more. Like, there's some risk to this. Like, you can taint your name if something goes like horribly wrong. But he talked about how it's not a festival. It's a smaller activation. My hotel is prepared for it. Our hotel sales are up 400% just by being attached to this controversial name. And I was like, you know what? There's going to be a lot of critics out there. There's a lot of people that are going to rip someone. But it's like a smaller business owner. You took a risk and you jumped your profits up that much just by attaching yourself to a controversial figure. It's like I left there, though, kind of understanding it. So, that was one of those moments where I just found it so interesting because I am just very curious. And I think, Jess, that's what's different about our podcast. We both remain curious versus like lashing out at marketers. We just want to know, like, why are they doing it? I want to hear their story as to why. And I felt like he articulated a very, very cohesive reason as to why he would partner with a very controversial brand.
I mean, Heath is really organized, and he's going in setting expectations from the start. And I think that's really important. Like, he understands that there are investors involved. Like, there's a financial responsibility, and they don't want to make the same mistakes. He showed us that, Billy is trying to be as accountable as he can be. And I think that's really important as well. So he's taking accountability. He's putting it all on himself. Were we talking about this in the episode where, he's been banned from the Bahamas, but now he's talking about, hey, I really, I'm looking to the future. I'm going to pay off what I owe. I'm going to pay off the investors, and hopefully we can work together moving forward.
Yes,
And
he's
so
going
it's,
for the redemption angle.
yes, and that's what we all want to see. I think, like at our core, we want to latch on to the redemption. We're rooting for going from like a disaster, a fire,
Yeah.
to really, literally and figuratively, a fire to success, and showing that yes, we can learn, we can grow, we can change. I really do think it goes back to those to those instinctive human characteristics and behaviors. And I think you're right. He's on the ball with it, like just setting expectations, talking about that this is going to be different. This is how it's going to be different. This is the mitigation planning that I'm doing. And granted, like he said, you can't control everything. You can't plan for everything, but there are certain steps that we can take to ensure that the experience, and keeping it small. I thought that was so important too. And taking those steps to ensure that it's going to be the best possible experience it can be for the consumers that want to participate.
And one thing that we talked about around this show too, this loops into maybe our discussion as we start to thinking about what's after 100, Jess. So I think about this sort of podcast a lot. Like, where do we want to take it? Like, sometimes we bring our friends on and you hear us having some banter. Sometimes you find someone random on LinkedIn. And sometimes we can add a little spice to it. So, we got the post wrap up. We want to make sure this gets off okay. So, like, the big question that my friends have asked after this episode is like, are you going to bring Billy on next? And after doing that, I was like, yeah, I'd be curious to have him on. Like, I feel like he's been very upfront with answering some of these questions. And, like, we had Heath on before, and he was kind of reasoning, like, why certain things happened. Again, like, as someone asking the questions, I don't have to agree with everything that is said. You don't hear me say, Jess, on these episodes, I agree. But I want to hear, and I'm curious, and I at least at the end of it understand. So would I bring someone controversial onto the show like that with our brand? I left that, I was like, yes, I think I would. Because, like, I'm starting to understand the direction this is going. And I would love to hear from Billy. So, like, yeah, that's on the docket. If you'll have him, Jess, as to what post 100 looks like for us. I'd love to ramp up some guests that might have some controversy to them and let them have their voice here. There's no penalty for doing that.
Yeah, I'd actually love to have Billy and Heath back on post the pop-up, and we can use it as a debrief, because you're right.
Yeah.
Like, the whole point of our show, when we call it the making of a marketer, it's not only like understanding the customer, that's a part of the making, but it's getting into our marketers' minds. Like, we want to understand how they're thinking, what they're doing, the decisions that they're making, because that's going to make us better marketers.
So let's take it to another lens. We'll put a hold on that, but trust me, there's some efforts in place right now. Let's watch our feeds and see how this goes over the weekend. But let's take it to another direction here, Jess. Let's talk about Cracker Barrel, because we didn't have a lot of time to talk about it last week, and that was all the feeds are probably a little late on this because it's died down a little bit, but had some time to like sink in and understand it. I would love to have someone from their team on here. Like, I got a lot of questions on this. And then my like first question on this one, Jess, and I'm really curious your take, is the stock dropped. We know about the logo controversy. Now they're back to the old logo. But I will say, at the very minimum, at the end of all this, when was the last time you talked about Cracker Barrel, thought about Cracker Barrel this much, or had people just like openly talking about it? Because, like, to be honest, like, I'm gonna be a little mean on this one. Like, their food isn't that good to make me like talk about it. It's okay, but it's not like something that I go craving Cracker Barrel. But now I'm at least thinking about it again. Like, do I go there again? Do I try it again? Do I go to the old country store again? Like, at least I'm talking about it. So I'm curious if is that an approach that works with that much controversy?
Well, I'll give them this. They listened. They listened to their customer base and they changed things. There's still a lot of work to be done to get back into their good graces. Because I was seeing like in our feed videos of people going to Cracker Barrels now on a Saturday when it used to be, or Saturday or Sunday when it used to be jam packed, and like now no one's in the driveway or no one's in the parking lot. So that's a big issue. I think, people are, they're definitely, we're talking about it for sure. And I think we're talking about like how this played out, but the customers are not back into the good graces. That's what I'm taking from it.
What
And and I will say too, when they used to make their biscuits, it was very good for a roadside stop for a. And this is someone that went to school at Indiana, coming from Indiana. That's when I would go to Cracker Barrel. Yeah, homemade biscuits, you can't beat that. It used to be very good. I don't know. I have not been since college, so you're right. I don't
Yeah.
know.
See, that's the problem.
Yes.
Yeah, that they're facing. So this is where I started to think about. So like I wanted to like, all right, let's go through a marketer's lens. The logo change. What is the problem they're trying to solve? So I looked at the data. Their average consumer, I believe, was 53.2 years old. That is a problem, though. If that's the median age of your customer, unless you're selling a specific product that is only for that age group, that is a problem, like going forward, because you do need to skew, lower. I mean, we're not even in millennials at that point. Like, like they're talking about marketing to Gen Z. I'm like, hell, you need to market to me, like 30-year-olds, like, and that's something. So I want to investigate that. Like, what is the crux of it?
So yes, you're right. I get it. There is a balance because then we talk about you can't be everything to everyone. And we saw this play out with so many brands, including Boston Market. I actually saw such a great case study on LinkedIn this week around the downfall of Boston Market and how it initially started back in the 90s. Yeah, we love, my family and I loved Boston Market.
Yeah,
It's the place that you
big
would
part of
go
it.
to get, a home cooked rotisserie chicken. Like that was the brand. Like when you're not cooking, you can go there and get something good. And then they started to like break up the brand and then again try to do all these things. They added the sandwiches, they added ham, they added
Mhm.
turkey, then they started adding sides and then people got confused. So it's, I think with the Cracker Barrel in Boston Market where there's similarities, it's again it's like sticking true to your origin story,
Yeah.
sticking true to your history. You and then bringing others in, bringing other age groups in, thinking
Yeah.
about okay, so what's going to resonate with this group and then how can we take that and combine it with our story and our vision.
And I actually
And
did a video about that. So,
yes.
like, I did some recon on their socials. I was like, what exactly are they marketing? So, like, everything I go to is product marketing. Here's our food, 10.99, and I'm like, okay, I get how if you are already in their funnel that works, but what if you aren't? So, like, what is the story? And one thing I really thought about, Jess, was that hey, it's a country store, so like local artisans, like local goods, like you could have like artist days where they come into the country store and like paint or do crafts. Like I'm thinking about like what is like the Gen Z millennial, like what do they like? They like storytelling a lot. We've known that for a while. So how could you tell the story that worked for the 53.2-year-old but actually gets visibility to the 28-year-old? And I was like, also, local food vendors. Like, you have the Cracker Barrel brand and product, but if you're trying to add menu options, rather than adding like 17 different sandwiches, what if there was like one local option per Cracker Barrel per month where there was a local business and this is like cutting proceeds 50-50 with their local business, their bread making, their jams, like I just feel like when I think like old country store and I think like country cooking, I think local, I think homemade, like, like how are you telling this? And I don't see that anywhere. So if I were in that marketing room, I'm not thinking about a new logo. Like, I don't know, like for me, like logos, like I can go back and forth what they really do for you. I'm thinking, what's your story on social, and is it really telling something cohesive? And that's where I would have started versus doing the direction they did.
Totally. There's that play. And then also, too, if you think about nostalgia, again, we're basically saying you can't get rid of your origin story. You
Yep.
can't like get rid of your history. Embrace that. Don't sleep on it. And then look at those connecting points to bring other audiences in and
Hmm.
create that through line. So you could have done the local piece, I think, is huge right now. And then also, like with nostalgia, think about like how can you bring in the 53-year-olds stories with the younger generations. So maybe Cracker Barrel is a place where grandparents or parents can bring their children, can bring their families in, and then talk about their stories and share their stories in that way, and carry on a family legacy.
Yep.
So there's many ways in which.
And there's ways you can tell that on TikTok. Like, I think that's what happens sometimes. It's like you get in this like old traditional, like it's like old person marketing type thing, but there's ways you can tell all these stories in a TikTok manner or a vertical video manner. It's just like it lends into the storytelling. That's so much. Like, you can even go to Fire, we can go to all these different places. Like, it's when we have these marketers on, they're talking about stories all the time. They're not talking about product. And I don't know. I think that's like this gray area. You see this a lot in B2B SaaS. Like, product marketing doesn't mean it has to be like emotionally dead marketing at the same time. Like, what is the balance you're trying to strike?
Yes, I'm thinking too, going back to the nostalgia piece, for TikTok or Instagram or even YouTube, you could do a short on boomers, like the way that boomers order food at Cracker Barrel, and then their family members, Gen Z. I don't even know the generation names. I always get confused. Gen Z, millennials, then they're talking about like their language and
Yeah.
how they're ordering. And then the boomers saying, "What are you talking about? Like
Yeah.
what are you saying here?"
Maybe we're like gonna do like the Cracker Barrel is lit campaign. Like, we should pitch this to them. Like, why is Cracker Barrel lit? And they like go through their like reasons why of each generation.
Totally.
I feel like they gotta have some fun with it now. Like, it's one of those things. Like, it's a brand. Like, sometimes you do something crazy and you get some flack for it. What is your next step? So the next step was like they went back to the logo, sure, but if I were them, I'd be like, what do we got to lose? We already lost how much money off our stock. Like, let's play. Let's have some fun with it. Like I'd go like full on, like you're saying, Cracker Barrel isn't for old people. Like, or like just address the elephant in the room, because you got everybody's attention right now. Every person's going to watch what you do. So like, if your next campaign is 10.99, breakfast platter, then like you're gonna lose it again. You're gonna lose the interest again. So like, what are you going to do next?
Yeah, or I'm also thinking too. Yes, and the boomer, the grandparent, the parent could be in the car with the Gen Z, the millennial influencer, and they could be doing a food review of
Yeah,
Cracker Barrel.
yeah, that would be funny.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that.
yeah, like you go through your orders and like why you, yeah, like it would be
And
interesting.
like, testing the food, like, is this, or are the biscuits still good? We're gonna do our review, and trying the whole menu. You know how
Yeah,
popular those shorts are
yeah,
on TikTok. And actually, I saw too, speaking of marketing, Domino's is going that route, where
mhm,
now their commercials are focusing on the customer or the influencer doing the taste testing
yeah.
in their cars.
I was just asked this question yesterday with a customer. They asked about putting TikTok or influencer style video as a traditional TV commercial. And I said,
Yep.
it's being done. So this is my thought. Could you and agencies are going to hate me for this thought. So all our agency friends that have come onto this program, you probably want to like leave right now. But this was my thought. If you could execute the same quality of video, and what I mean by quality is talking to your audience directly and being engaging with an influencer iPhone ring light, maybe you can touch it up with some AI if you're into it. If you could do all of that for like a couple $1,000s and still have the same impact, and then you could take the 5 million you were going to spend on the commercial beforehand and put it on the ad dollars instead of production dollars, why wouldn't you do that? So like
Hmm.
everybody likes the lo-fi stuff. If everybody wants it on TikTok, everybody wants it on YouTube, everyone now wants it on LinkedIn, Jess. I shouldn't say everyone, but a lot of people do. Why wouldn't they want it on traditional TV? Like it's just marketing emulates itself across the feeds. So I think it's a good move by Domino's. But the next step is whatever you saved in production costs needs to go into your ads, because don't let that money just be dead money. Like utilize it somewhere.
Hmm. So
But
what are we talking about next? I want to see what you were gonna talk about because I'm hoping we're on the same level here.
so we want to talk about a little bit like what's next for 100. Like we've gotten past that big marker, and what does it mean for us, like as a podcast and types of guests and like productions we're doing? So season 3, we got 3 more months to wrap this up, and like where does it go from here? My brain is kind of, feeling like we've had a lot of, I think, consistency in how the program has gone. I think our guests, we've had some very nuanced style of guests. We've had seasonal guests, like, so I think it puts us in a position now to where I feel like we know our audience well and we have a pretty like consistent base that listens, but what takes us to more of a potential mainstream level? So I would say, just like what takes us out of not talking about marketing with just marketers, but what takes us to talking about marketing with the mass public? Because that to me is what we've been talking about lately. The Cracker Barrels and like Sydney Sweeney's of the world. It's got people talking about marketing that have nothing to do with marketing. And like, is there a way that we get this show to even get more mainstream, where maybe not every episode is for them mainstream, and we can't be everything to everyone, but I think there's slivers that we get into like popular culture where maybe we're enough for that audience and it gets us out there.
Totally. Okay, so it was not exactly what I thought you were going to mention,
Gotcha.
but
Yeah.
there's still a connection. I can make this connection here.
Yeah.
So you're totally right. I think we are broadening just by the level of guests as well. I think we're showing that everyone's a marketer. And
Yeah.
this was going to go back to, and there is this cultural moment. And I think if we continue to hit on the cultural pop items that are happening. Like everything is marketing right now. Marketing is culture. So I think that's going to continue to like broaden our reach and get us talking. So going back to, I think with Cracker Barrel, with American Eagle, also too, or with the Coldplay Kiss Cam, that organization, and the CEO of, I'm trying to think, I think was it Polish or Czech company last week at the US Open. I'm a major tennis watcher, so I've been
Dialed in.
staying very close to watching all the matches and just seeing the sheer wild and ridiculousness happening at the US Open right now. It's like every day there's some type of drama, but it's all marketing. So that CEO, I don't know if you heard about it. He stole, it was on social like immediately, but he stole the hat, this player's hat from a kid that was
Yeah.
trying to get it signed and get his ball signed. And like within, I think that happened last Friday. And then over the weekend, just on social. It was like people were looking up the company, were starting to post reviews, like negative reviews. I think on Google it was like a 1.4
Yeah,
star.
that
It
hurt.
just immediately. And so that's made me think about, and like again, going back to like marketing is culture. Everything is marketing now. What I found so fascinating about like everything that we're seeing and how it's unfolding when you're looking at the person and the personal branding and the thought leadership, that is the cultural inflection. That is the moment that's now showing, because even with Cracker Barrel, it's like you're looking at the CEO, and more so than the three agencies that made the decision
Yeah, I
to.
mean, we don't even know how involved the CEO was in that decision. Like everyone's like going hard at her. Like I mean, like I'm sure there was like a check the box, but like people like are like back. Was it what's the right word? Backstage quarterbacking. Like every decision these CEOs make. I think just like to your point though is like how are CEOs getting out in front of this because that's
Right.
where they have the power to create their own voice.
Yeah, so it's like the leaders, the thought leadership really at an all-time high. It's so important and it is the moment right now. And so what's been fascinating about all of this is again how quickly it goes from the personal brand to then company integrity. Like
Hmm.
it is so like we at LinkedIn we talk a lot about employer branding and thought leadership, but it is like the through line, the connection, it is at an all-time high right now because
Yeah.
again, I think it's going back to marketing is cultural.
Yeah.
And the way that social has evolved and the way that we literally are getting these videos, we're seeing these visuals just at a rapid pace. It's incredible. So I think there is something there with like again how we are if we continue to talk about this pop culture and how again marketing is everything, then we are going to broaden the reach, broaden the messaging because it's all consuming.
And relating it to our guests. Like we're bringing it into our episodes because something happened. Like let's change the talk track a little bit to be relevant to what this new crazy marketing thing happened was. You know what this reminds me of? Because it's like almost a new era of personal branding. Remember when there was a string of executives when Twitter was newer in the 2010s that would put something crazy on Twitter and they would get them in all kinds of trouble? And then I feel like executives just stopped with personal branding. Like too many of them went down via the Twitter bird. And then now it's like this has popped up again and it's gotten a lot more mainstream on, whether it be LinkedIn or it's a executive present on TikTok. It's like they're coming back to it now, but they're doing it in this more video format. Probably not as frequent as they were with Twitter, but it's more catchy. It's more visual than what we've seen before. So I find that interesting how it's all tied together. You're exactly right. Like I think the interesting thing that I'm like really looking forward to seeing is when this is perfected, like on LinkedIn / TikTok in like 2032, how do they actually utilize this strategy to gain investors or like shoot off like stock price? So like think of like when they do these huge announcements, we've launched a new product, new AI tool, we're changing the world, we're doing all the things. It comes from them on a social channel before it hits this earned media news article. And sometimes like I feel like it gets a lot more oomph and it all takes us back to, again, Jess, what it comes back to oftentimes is like the influencer fire festival, like shared content strategy, because those techniques are not new and they've been put in play for a long time. It's just now we're seeing it more at the executive level connecting to these brands or even larger brands.
Well, yep, and it's because this this right here, for those of you that
Yep.
can't see, I'm pulling up my phone.
Yep.
Now
Well,
you have a smartphone, you're a marketer.
yep.
That is the world that we are living in this social. environment. And that's where too with these leaders, it was like the leaders on Twitter and that period, like they're proactively putting their messaging out, but now they need to realize as well that other marketers are going to be putting out visuals on them. So again, getting ahead,
Yeah.
speaking your truth just on a proactive basis. It is
Yeah.
now more crucial than ever because we've seen in the last few months, like how quickly, like something that they are not, these leaders are not proactively like putting themselves out there. Someone, another marketer
Mhm.
is, and then it hits social, and then like within a day, it completely takes down the organization and the brand.
Yeah, and something I'm actually working with an AI company right now on their potential brand and their personal brands, and something. Anytime you're in the world of AI specifically or tech, you launch new things or whatever you do. There's going to be like 50 different influencers the second you launch something that are on TikTok within a few hours talking about what you just launched and why they like it or why they think it's not good. So you can either get in front of it yourself and like play their game and be in their community, in their space. They will respect that you go in their space and you are engaging with them and involving yourself. Or you can just say, we're not doing it and we're talking to news media in a very controlled environment. Then they go and control the environment because unfortunately, like, and this is, news people, hold your ears again. Unfortunately, a top tier TikTok, YouTube influencer, like a top percenter, is probably going to get like 2,000%, 5,000% more reach than what the news gets. It's just the way that people engage with content right now. So getting ahead of it, and I think that's where we really come in and kind of talk about all those nuances now.
Totally. Yes, we're all marketers. That's the
That's the
takeaway.
world.
That is why we talk about the making
Yeah.
of a
Make
marketer.
But that's it for time today. We are working on some new episodes soon, and we will have some more marketing controversy, risk, rewards, and some fun to come over the next coming weeks.
Totally, yes. Next week I'm traveling.
Yes.
So maybe I would love to do
On the
I still
road.
want to do an on the road. And oh, you know what I was thinking too for now past 100? Like Andy, one day we need to meet in person.
Yes. We
We
need to do a live
still three
podcast.
years.
Yes, I know. Maybe, I've thought about like what would that look like? Like I would one idea I've had is like actually doing a podcast episode at like a conference. Like it's
Yes.
instead of a conference topic, the actual, you get like 50 minutes like to speak. The 50 minutes is us doing an episode live, and it's a whole different thing. That's been my idea for a while. I just need someone to execute it with us.
Yes, fingers crossed. Things are changing. I feel like if we did our podcast post the pandemic, we'd be seeing each other at least once a year.
Yes.
But now things are like I think things may be changing in the future where we're gonna finally have a team meeting in person
Yeah.
again, and that
Yeah.
that could be the first
The
first
day
step.
is
But I
coming.
like the conference idea. Like even too, if our team goes to a conference,
Yes.
which we used to do too before all things
before
changed.
before 2020, before like
Yes.
that's like 28 years ago now, but also feels like a year ago all at the same time.
Yes. The what is it? BC and then AD.
Yes,
But
that's
it's like
basically
now.
2020. That's what that is.
Yes, there you go.
Well, we'll see everyone next week, just on the road potentially, and then from there we will talk to you soon. Bye everyone.
Bye.